Okay, and welcome to part 4 of the Hyborean Age by Robert E. Howard. Picking up where we last were. 1,000 years after the Lesser Cataclysm, the Western world is seen to be a wild country of jungles and lakes and torrential rivers. Among the forest-covered hills of the Northwest exist wandering bands of ape men without human speech, or the knowledge of fire, or the use of implements. They are the descendants of the Atlanteans, sunk back into the squalling chaos of jungle bestiality from which ages ago their ancestors so laboriously crawled. To the southwest dwell scattered clowns of degraded, cave-dwelling savages, whose speech is of the most primitive form, yet who still retain the name of Picts, which has come to mean merely a term designating men themselves to distinguish them from the true beasts with which they contend for life and food. It is their only link with their former stage. Neither the squalid Picts nor the apish Atlanteans have any contact with other tribes or peoples. Far to the east, the Lemurians, leveled almost to a bestial plane themselves by the brutishness of their slavery, have risen and destroyed their masters. They are savages stalking among the ruins of a strange civilization. The survivors of that civilization, who have escaped the fury of their slaves, have come westward. They fall upon that mysterious pre-human kingdom of the south and overthrow it, substituting their own culture, modified by contact with the older one. The newer kingdom is called Stygia, and remnants of the old nation seem to have survived and even been worshipped after the race as a whole had been destroyed. Here and there in the world, small groups of savages are showing signs of an upward trend. These are scattered and unclassified. But in the north, the tribes are growing. These people are called Hyboreans, or Hybori. Their god was Bori, some great chief whom legend made even more ancient as the king who led them into the north in the days of the great cataclysm, which the tribes remember only in distorted folklore. They have spread over the north and are pushing southward in leisurely treks. So far they have not come in contact with any other races. Their wars have been with one another. 1,500 years in the North Country have made them a tall, tawny-haired, gray-eyed race, vigorous and warlike, and already exhibiting a well-defined artistry and poetism of nature. They still live mostly by the hunt, but the southern tribes have been raising cattle for some centuries. There is one exception in their so far complete isolation from other races. A wanderer into the far north returned with the news that the supposedly deserted ice wastes were inhabited by an extensive tribe of ape-like men, descended, he swore, from the beasts driven out of the more habitable land by the ancestors of the Hyboreans. He urged that a large war party be sent beyond the Arctic Circle to exterminate these beasts, whom he swore were evolving into true men. He was jeered at. A small band of adventurous young warriors followed him into the north, but none returned. But tribes of the Hyboreans were drifting south, and as the population increased, this movement became extensive. The following age was an epic of wandering and conquest. Across the history of the world, tribes and drifts of tribes move and shift in an ever-changing panorama. Look at the world 500 years later. Tribes of tawny-haired Hyboreans have moved southward and westward, conquering and destroying many of the small, unclassified clans. Absorbing the blood of conquered races, already the descendants of the older drifts have begun to show modified racial traits. And these mixed races are attacked fiercely by new, purer-blooded drifts and swept before them as a broom sweeps debris impartially. to become even more mixed and mingled in the tangled debris of races and tag-ends of races. As yet, the conquerors have not come in contact with the older races. To the southeast, the descendants of the Zemri, given impetus by new blood resulting from admixture with some unclassified tribe, are beginning to seek to revive some faint shadow of their ancient culture. To the west, the apish Atlanteans are beginning the long climb upward. They have completed the cycle of existence. They have long forgotten their former existence as men, unaware of any other former state. They are starting the climb unhelped and unhindered by human memories. To the south of them, the Picts remain savages, apparently defying the laws of nature by neither progressing nor retrogressing. Far to the south dreams the ancient mysterious kingdom of Stygia. On its eastern borders wander clans of nomadic savages, already known as the Sons of Shem. Next to the Picts, in the broad valley of Zing, protected by great mountains, a nameless band of primitives, tentatively classified as akin to the Shemites, has evolved an advanced agricultural system and existence. Another factor has added to the impetus of Hyborean drift. A tribe of that race has discovered the use of stone in building, and the first Hyborean kingdom has come into being. The rude and barbaric kingdom of Hyborea, which had its beginning in a crude fortress of boulders heaped to repel tribal attack. The people of this tribe soon abandoned their horse-hide tents for stone houses. Crudely but mightily built, and thus protected, they grew strong. There are few more dramatic events in history than the rise of the rude, fierce kingdom of Hyborea, whose people turned abruptly from their nomadic life to rear dwellings of naked stone, surrounded by cyclopean walls. A race scarcely emerged from the polished Stone Age, who had, by a freak of chance, learned the first rude principles of architecture. All right, thanks for listening.